Welcome back to the War Room. My name is Dillon Jewett, joined by Ayush Kasaju. Today, we're resuming our summer scouting series. I discussed wide receivers yesterday with y'all, so we're picking back up on it, going 2 for 2, and
Wait, hold on, hold on.
discussing
I gotta say this right now. Did you see the Micah news?
what happened.
Oh,
Dang! Right as soon as we get on live, did he get
yeah,
traded or
Cowboys are trading Micah Parsons to the Cowboys, who will sign a 4-year, one hundred and
to the
eighty-eight
Packers?
million dollars. Oh yeah, to the Packers,
Whoa!
4-year, 188.
Unbelievable. 47 million a year.
Yep, that's crazy. I thought it was gonna be like 45,
That's
43.
insane. Well, we got to talk about that then. Let's have a
Yeah,
little bit of discussion on this as we get the
let me see. Does it pause
information
if
we
I
need.
leave? Like, does my
Yeah,
camera
it's
pause?
it's you're blank right now.
Okay.
Uh, so Dallas got 2 first rounders.
Let me see. I don't see the details on here.
There's no way it's a. I just saw Ian say something about 2 first rounders. There's no
Let me
way
go to
that
Twitter
it's
on my
just two first
computer.
rounders.
Ricky was right. That's crazy.
It can't be just 2 first rounders, right? There's no way.
Luka Doncic and Michael Parsons have been traded from Dallas in less than 6 months from Field Yates.
Yeah. So it's possible additional compensation, potentially a player, but the deal is done and agreed to. Wow. So it's 2 first rounder. Could it be like Rashawn Gary or something? Maybe
I hope not, but it
that
might.
would
I
make
don't.
sense though. Because I got to believe that Jerry wants a guy to
Let me
come
look
in
at Twitter.
for his rookie head coach.
4-year,
So
188.
that's a wild number though. If
For
okay,
real.
if that was what he was trying to get at, then I kind of get it. 47 is one of the most ridiculous. Like that's like whenever Mahomes initially signed his deal, his $50 million deal, year deal, where it was just like
Yeah.
such a gigantic jump from what the consensus was making.
Wait,
47. I think the
hold
next
on.
highest is like 41, right?
I think Pelissero said something.
Oh yeah, Paris.
Oh, he just said
He said,
something
yeah,
about Herschel Walker,
one
but he didn't say compensation.
136 million guarantee. I'm stunned. This is crazy. I gotta believe that it's 2 first and like Rashawn Gary, right? Like, what else could it be? There's no way it's just 2 firsts.
I think it's more than 2 first. I don't know. I feel like they
Well,
could have
because
gotten it done
Ian
without another player.
Ian said it nets is a. I don't know what he. This is worded weird. At $47 million a year, Parsons is the highest non-paid QB in NFL history and nets 2 first rounders for Dallas. What is like that's Oh, I got to text
Interesting.
Pierce here. And I don't. Pierce hasn't said anything yet. He probably hasn't seen it.
Received 62 million in the first year of the new deal, 120 fully guaranteed in total, and 136 million guaranteed. Wow. I don't think anyone's wearing number 11 either for the Packers right now. I guess
Wow.
11.
I'm kind of
Oh no, Jaden Reed's wearing
surprised.
11. I'm tripping.
I am kind of surprised though that it feels like every single time we get these like this team is the headliner for this trade, it never actually pans out like that. You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like we hear that so frequently, and then it doesn't actually happen that way. So it is kind of stunning to me that
Yeah.
it actually just fluidly happened, just naturally. Oh, Ricky also on Twitter, he 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 did it.
Ricky's Alec hasn't
He's
texted anything,
back.
has he? Alec?
Alec has not texted anything.
Yeah,
This
he's
is
probably away from his phone right now.
yeah. So
What timing, man? Right when we started this.
yeah, what literally
God.
as soon as we pulled it up. So yeah, we'll definitely get
Oh my
to
goodness.
scouting here in a bit. Probably on a smaller time frame,
Getting
unfortunately, but
truncated.
uh
Yeah, no one said anything about compensation yet. I mean, I feel like there's a
Yeah,
chance Romeo could go in it, but I don't know if y'all would need Romeo
I
like
don't I
that.
don't know
But
if we would, I don't know if that would be interesting to us though. And I
yeah,
don't think we would want to pay him. Like we have we have
Pickens.
Pickens. So and
Yeah,
Pickens to play like pay also.
yeah.
Um all right. So I guess we'll be waiting on compensation. I'll just keep that on refresh here. Uh but oh, I forgot to change the title of the episode. I'm kind of upset. Oh, let's see. I can do this though. Um,
I think 6 million more than TJ for the next highest.
is Arch Manning the
Reggie White is trending now also.
is he?
Yeah. Yeah, Packers beat writer just said Packers are trading at least 2 first rounders. That's what
Okay, at
he
least
said.
makes me feel better. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the truth. There's no way it's less than that. Because yeah, I don't know. I'd be stunned. So two first. That is kind of nice, though. I'll say that is nice, like for the future, especially as a draft fan. Obviously, to think about having two first rounders
Mhm.
um, for the next 2 years, maybe more. Uh, Ricky finally said something. For those that don't know, Ricky is under the radar.
He's like
What would I say? A news provider for the NFL. He provided the CD Lamb. His biggest hit was the CD Lamb deal last year, and now this is the his probably
yeah.
his crown
Maybe he's just a
jewel.
Cowboys guy, okay? Because he
He's
missed
got
on
to
some
have
other stuff.
something.
What was
He
it?
probably has to know someone within the Cowboys
Yeah.
organization that yeah.
Because he missed on something
So
pretty big, and that's why he disappeared for a second, right? I forgot what it was
was
though.
it Trevor Lawrence or something?
I don't
Oh
think it was Lawrence. It
no,
was a quarter.
was
It
it
was.
something with the Bengals?
Oh, it might have been with T. It might have been
I
with
think it was
Higgins.
T. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something. I don't know. I don't. That sounds familiar though.
Yeah, I think he was
Okay.
saying that Higgins was gonna get traded or something.
So, all right. So while we await news on that, do you want to get started on this,
Yeah, let's do it.
Ayush? Because I'm not hearing anything in terms of compensation. I'll just keep refreshing a little bit. But,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah. So we're gonna be doing top 10 quarterbacks today, despite what the title says. I don't think I changed it on. I didn't change it for X. I think I changed it for YouTube, but so it still is referring to wide receivers. But we are scouting quarterbacks today. We both put together a list here. Both did our due diligence with this position group, and we do have a lot to say on these guys. We'll see. Um, yeah, what this time frame looks like, because I do have some plans afterwards. So this Micah news did set us back a little bit, but all right. So, um, right after the introduction, we'll dive right into that. Okay. Yes. So, Ayush, we're gonna get you up and running here with your uh, evaluation. Let's see if I can get this thing showing up right. Of course, it's horizontal mode slideshow. Here we go. So, actually, let's do this
I
one
think
second.
it's
I gotta move this bad boy over,
yeah.
and then there's my wow. Do not look, Ayush.
I can't really see. I can't even read it from my phone. It's
Really?
too small.
Okay, gotcha. This is great, man. All right.
That's part of it.
So we're gonna do this. Yeah, this is we already got a spoiler alert there. So, all right.
There it is. Yeah.
So this is completely fresh to me because I did not see your rankings. You did not see mine. I
Mhm.
mean, as at least it sounds like you weren't able to see that right there. Second ago, whenever I made a reveal, accidentally, but I walk through your 10 through 6 real quick, and then we'll move on to mine, and then we'll move up the list here and have a open discussion about some of these big names.
Yeah. So 10. Oh my goodness. 10. I had Fernando Mendoza played at Cal this past year, and I think he just transferred to Illinois. I'll just go through the list real quick. Line 9, Luke Altmaier from Indiana. 8, Nico Amalaya. It's like not Amaliva, but that's how I always think
I
of
am my lava, I think it is.
Lava. Yeah. Tennessee, now at UCLA. Carson Beck was at Georgia, now in Miami, and then Norris Sellers at 6 from South Carolina. Um, so I'll just start from the top with Mendoza. He's he just kind of I only watched 2 games of some of these like lower guys, but I thought he was just really mediocre, honestly. Um, he has a good arm. He has some good athleticism, but I feel like I think the main knock that I had with him with everything that is that he just looks kind of stiff doing everything, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah,
when he can get out of the pocket pretty well. It says Packers are expected to send Dallas 2 first-round picks and a player in the deal, but no idea
it's
who the
gonna be
player
Rashawn
is.
Gary, I think.
I hope not. If it's like Kenny Clark, I might kill myself. But anyway,
Oh, Kenny
um,
Clark would be fun, kind of. We would need more than just Kenny, but Kenny Clark would be kind of helpful for us.
yeah.
Go on.
And then yeah, so I think that was like my biggest knock is that whenever he can elude pressure pretty well, he has good solid pocket presence, but it's just the way that he gets around is like not super fluid. It takes him a second to turn corners and things like that. And I feel like when it's on an NFL level and not against um I was gonna say Pac-12, but what is Cal in now? The ACC, I
Um,
think.
yes.
Yeah, if it's against NFL competition, not ACC competition, then I think it's going to be a big difference in how he's able to get around in the pocket and out and running around. So, but he has good accuracy, especially in the short game and things like that. But that was my biggest knock with him was just the mobility or the flexibility, I guess is the best way to put it. Altmaier at 9. Honestly, to me, felt like the a really good game manager. He can run pretty well, but I think for the most part, he's kind of just a dink and dunk, get the ball, look at the first read, get the ball out type of guy. Um, uh, yeah, that was kind of the main thing I had for him. He just really plays within the scheme and within everything. And it doesn't really do too much outside of that, honestly. Um, 8.
Here, I'm gonna jump in really quick,
Yeah, go
just so
for
we
it.
can work down this list. But so yeah, definitely. I didn't watch Altmaier. That's probably the only guy that of your list I did not watch.
Mhm.
Um, but I will add to the Fernando Mendoza conversation real quick. So Mendoza's 8 for me. So I have him a little bit higher than you. I know the like integrated NFL community, not just the NFL draft community, but I've heard that there are some direct conversations with GMs and scouts that the NFL is actually very high on Mendoza, and then Mendoza has a ceiling of being
Interesting.
as high as like a top 10 pick in the draft.
Really?
Um, so
Hmm.
I don't quite see that. I
Yeah, me
do.
neither. It's
I
Kenny Clark.
is it interesting?
Uh,
I That's not enough for me. I mean, that's fun. That's a fun player, but that's not enough for me to like
okay.
feel. It should have been more than that. Um. Okay, so the yeah, the issue with Mendoza is exactly what you said. A lot of stiffness. This isn't, and I think this is probably the worst athlete of the quarterback position. um, point blank period in this class. At least, I'm sorry, of these guys that we've scouted. I'm sure that once you
Mhm.
get to some of these quarterbacks that have no business in the NFL, that there's some horrible athletes. But the calling card for Mendoza is accuracy. I think that this is the most accurate passer in this class, to be
Mm.
honest. Let's see. Let me confirm that. Did I have that grade reciprocated? I did not. He was the second most accurate passer for me. We'll discuss the other one, the best, most accurate passer in this class later on. At least in my eyes. So extremely accurate passer. I think that he can throw on all levels of the field at a good to excellent level. He works the middle of the field beautifully, in my opinion. I do think so. One area that I am going to disagree with you on. I don't think he's very good working in and out of the pocket. I don't think that he sees the pocket very well. I think that that was a little bit of an issue. I saw him get uh, run off by backside coverage. I'm sorry, by backside pressure quite frequently.
Mm.
So I did think that was an issue for him. I think that's one of the biggest issues. Um, he does play with good discipline. I don't think I saw him throw a lot of just blatantly like
Yeah.
stupid passes on tape. Um, Operates with anticipation and a plan early on in the rep. So he's able to go through progressions well, make the right read, and he has a good trigger to be able to just get rid of the ball, plays with poise and cadence on a rep to rep basis. He doesn't let, although he does let backside pressure get home sometimes. He does have good poise. He doesn't let that kind of hinder him, which is something that you see quite frequently with, I'll say, one guy that I did watch that very much missed this list. I went back and I was like, hey, I've been hearing good things about this guy, so I'm going to go watch him and maybe he'll make this list as like a sleeper guy for me. I watched Aiden Childs yesterday out of
Mhm.
Michigan State, and I've heard some people be like, oh, if all things pan out, he's going to be Jaden Daniels. Maybe, but all things is like 3 years worth of work at a bare minimum, like a really good
I
football.
see.
He's not there. He's not there. He's gonna have to go back to school again. So he missed my list. I watched 11 guys. I was the 11th. But Mendoza is good in that particular category of just getting back up. Oh, screwed up on that rep. I'll get back up and do better this time. But athletically, no, not good. A
Yeah.
lot of issues there. So yeah,
Mhm.
but I did think that there's a lot of rigidity in his game, and I think that
Yeah.
that just doesn't quite mesh well with what the NFL is today. And I think that he does have probably a ceiling. And I don't think that ceiling involves the top 10 conversation that I just brought up earlier about how some NFL GMs view him. All right. So moving on. So you had Altmaier at 9,
Mhm.
Mendoza at 10, Altmaier at 9, and 8 was Nico Imailava. What's your thinking with Imailava?
Yeah, I feel like he has a lot of good physical traits. I mean, the dude's like really tall. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", something like that. Um, he is a little skinny, but I think he's pretty young, so I think he might fill it out. The problem is just the processing. I think with him, um,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he might have had the lowest processing on it. Yeah, out of the my group, and I think like it's just hesitating on some reads and seeing things a little late. It's about trying to he throws the deep ball a lot, and I don't think there was even 3 times, and I think the 3 pieces of tape I watched that he completed those deep balls. And, like, it was, like, annoying to watch how because he'd find the right guy on, like, for the most part when he's going deep, which that he'd overthrow it almost every single time. And so I
Yeah.
think that's obviously coachable, but I think it's just such an egregious, um, knock on him that it really hurt his stock for me. Um, and I think that was, like, the biggest thing that was kinda hurting his grade for me. It was just the accuracy and accuracy and kinda just uh, the progressions and the read and react type of thing for me. Let me see what I said for I think he also had like a lot of fumbles. I think on the I don't know how accurate that website was that I was looking at, but he might have had the second most out of quarterbacks, tied for second most with like 11 or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Oh man, I love. Yeah, he had his advanced metric for me, which is breathed by PFF in
mhm,
terms of ball security. So that's not like a grade, like well, it is a grade, but it's more of a production grade as opposed to like a ball security grade. But he had a
yeah,
2.3, which is lowest in the class. He had a wow, I had it pulled up a second ago, but he had a bunch of fumbles last year. Like, don't have an exact number for you, but yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the things is coachable, and but I don't think if he were to
10,
go into the
10 fumbles.
yeah, that's crazy. Um, so I think that if he waited probably 2 years, stayed 2 years, and then went to the league, I think he would potentially be in that day one, round one, round two conversation. But as of now, there's just too much um, in the brain and in the mind that he has to work on, and then a little bit with touch and accuracy that he has to work on before he really reaches that next level. Um, Carson Beck
Yeah.
at seven. Yeah, go for it.
Well,
My bad.
yeah. Here, I'll play into each of these that you mentioned as we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So number 8, Nico. One thing you didn't mention here that I will say is kind of important that gives me some pause with him is the NIL thing.
Oh, that's
He
true. Yeah.
how he exited Tennessee from what I've heard, and it was kind of a popular story a couple of months back whenever he
Mhm.
did head over to UCLA, was that there was just a blatant dispute over NIL with Tennessee and his package. I guess he wanted a bigger NIL package, and that's what eventually moved him over to UCLA. And they were just like Tennessee was just like, okay, we don't need you then. And I honestly am chill with that because
Mhm.
okay, a top 10 Nico is a good college football quarterback, but a fringe top 10 prospect, in our I have him at 10 by the way, in our summer scouting. Like we're not talking about Drew Aller or Nuss or Arch Manning or something like that. Whenever we're talking about Nico Imalava, this is someone that you can afford to lose and get over it. Especially if you're Tennessee. They also brought in a kid, Joey Aguilar from Appalachian State,
Mhm.
who's pretty solid. But maybe we'll be talking about him later on this year as a prospect. But Nico is not good enough to be able to just go out there and be like demanding however
Yeah,
much
give me what I
money that he
want.
wants. We just talked about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is one of the best defensive players in the league. He can demand money, and Nico can't sit here and expect this type of compensation whenever he's just kind of a guy at quarterback, maybe a plus starter, but um, obviously I don't know how that went
No,
down
just not at that
exactly, but
level.
I agree completely with everything that you said. Processing is a big problem. There's a lot of accuracy issues. The thing I struggled with accuracy wise is there were a number of times where he just had these wild throws. I'm just like,
Mhm.
why is that so inconsistent? It
Exactly.
just made no sense to me. He has a great arm in terms
Yeah,
of
he
arm
throws a pretty
strength.
ball.
He does. Yeah, whenever it comes out right, it's a
Uh-huh.
very pretty ball, and he's a decent athlete overall. Uh,
Mhm.
but I just have so many struggles with why it's so consistently inaccurate. His processing, this is a good scrambler, good improviser. He has a lot of good traits in there, but there is way too much digging for us to get to the point, like mentally, I guess, for us to get to the point
Mhm.
where it's like this is going to be a starter in the NFL or even a backup. Like I don't know if I can imagine him being a backup, Like this is someone who is probably a developmental QB3 unless he goes back
Yeah.
to school for at least 2 more years, I think. He's got
Yep.
time before he's, before he needs to where he has to be as a prospect. He's got time to be able to develop into that. All right, so Carson Beck at number 7, transferred from Georgia to Miami. Here, I'll jump in on this one really quick, and
And go
I'll go
for it.
first on this, and I'll also display my list. So there's mine for my 10 through 6. Um, yeah, so I'll take the lead on Beck. So actually, let me pull him up on my screen and then I can, if it'll go. So I was kind of consensus in terms of where I viewed him as, last summer. I thought he was going to be like probably a top 5 type of prospect last year. Obviously, top 5 last year is not saying that much. And then I start up, watching quarterbacks this year, and all I had heard all offseason long was that this guy just he's nothing like what he was last year. He sucks, and there's so many issues. He took a big regression, big step back, and I'm just like, I watched him. I'm like, this is kind of what I remember watching last year. There's some he last year I remember him being a little bit better of a processor. He took a step back from that, for sure. I but I don't think that he was was just took a gigantic step back in terms of just his entire trajectory. I feel like he's probably an NFL backup. That's just what he is. And maybe he has some off chance, scenario where he turns into a Brock Purdy type of, individual. What I did see from him was just imagine if Jared Goff was really bad at football or below average at football. That's kind of what I see from Carson Beck is just a lot of, there's a lot of woes in his game. He's not much of an athlete. Uh, Processing, he took a pretty large step back in that area because I thought he was good at it before, and now he's just kind of average across the board. He's a fairly accurate passer whenever he's in a rhythm. I think that he can throw any pass in the book. He has the arm for it. He has the the tools to be able to do that. But um, there's just so much in his game that I just watch and I'm just like, eh, shoulder shrug, like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. But I think that's enough to earn you a starting, or I'm sorry, not a starting, a backup role in the NFL. Like there's just enough shoulder shrug type of traits in his game that makes me think that he could be a whatever backup in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I only watched his 2024 tape. I didn't look at his 2023 at all, but I mean, I still agree with basically everything you said because um when I went into his tape, I heard that he was just like this really, really bad quarterback, you know. Uh, I mean, they won the game because of the backup, blah, 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 against Texas. I did not finish my thought there. But when I looked at him, he looked decent, you know. I think his
Yeah,
technique, his mechanics are probably, honestly, probably, let's see. I think
he has good
they're
feet.
around
I think
top
he has good
top
feet.
5, top 6
Yeah,
in the group that I scouted. Um, Processing was obviously the biggest or the lowest grade that I had on him. Um, but yeah, I thought that he just looks pretty smooth throwing the ball. He looks or comfortable throwing the ball. Um, but it's just that I think his patience and his poise weren't that
yeah,
great. I think, and he
yeah.
struggled with um knowing what to do when things don't go right
Mm,
in a play and things
yeah,
like that. So I think that's very fixable. Honestly, I think he could be better than people think he is. I've seen a lot of things when I was looking through YouTube trying to find cut ups and tape. Is that, oh, you're gonna turn around on Miami? So I think that's very possible for it to happen. Um, and yeah, I honestly I don't really feel super great about his character. That might just be like a vibes thing because honestly, I didn't read
I get that.
so
Yeah,
much about it. But it's just the vibes that I get from him aren't super leadery, in my opinion. Like he
yeah,
doesn't give like the confidence and the composure of being able to lead. team to the highest levels. And obviously he did with Georgia, but I really think that was more of just the team around him rather than
It was
him rallying the
infrastructure.
team. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. I'll interject with something you
yeah,
did
go for it.
say that I agree with, but then if you flip it from a different perspective, I'd probably disagree with. But you said the kind of like when the play breaks down, how he kind of just has this mentality to just almost at times be deer in headlights, where he just doesn't know what to do.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's improvable in the context of him becoming a backup quarterback. I don't think it's improvable in the context of him having this killer instinct and earning this starting quarterback role at the pro level. So I think that that's something that most of these guys that we're talking about, I mean, obviously there's a number of guys here that, you can see my list right now, but Sellers, Klubnik, those guys I think are going to be possible starters one day at the NFL level. But most of these guys that we talked about on these initial slides, they're probably going to be backups at the pro level.
Yeah.
But Beck to me just really screams like backup, doesn't really have the ceiling to be a starter. Whereas a number of these guys that we have discussed, it's like they're either going to be a your third quarterback that gets elevated in emergency situations, or they're going to be possible starters one day. That's kind of, they have a large range, probably leaning on the likelihood that they are third string, fourth string guys, practice squatters. But Beck is the only one of this group that I just look at and I'm just like, that is a backup. There's no way around it. That's what he is. So,
Mhm.
okay. So I had Sellers at 7 and Klubnik at 6. We already discussed
I
your
had
7.
Sellers at
Uh,
6.
so we're going to bring up Sellers here in a minute. So, but for now, we're just going to move on, to the next guy. So this is my number 5, John Mateer. You didn't get a chance to watch him, right?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch him.
All right, so I'm going to spotlight him real quick. Washington State transfer over to Oklahoma. I saw a lot of traits with John Mateer that intrigue me. I saw a lot of traits with John Mateer that make me want to pull my hair out. But at the end of the day, I saw upside, and I really just see kind of a early years Russell Wilson with a little bit bigger of a frame, a little bit, more athletic, and a little bit less of a processor, I guess, is what I would say. So kind of just down that archetype. Um, I think that this is the best athlete in this quarterback class.
Mm.
Just yeah, just a lot to like from him in terms of his mobility and movement skills. I don't have it on hand. He ran for 826 yards last year, and get this, 15 rushing touchdowns last year. So the mobility is
Interesting.
clearly there. These are normally guys though that I do not have a big, affinity for
Uh-huh.
in the scouting, standpoint, because that usually is like, okay, that's a good college quarterback, pro level. I don't know about that, especially whenever I get to the processing part of this. But as an athlete, this is probably going to be, a 4.5, 4.6 runner at the combine, which is really good for a quarterback. I think
Mm.
he's extremely fluid through the hips and lower body. Plays with this really compact stance as both a runner and a passer. He throws. I remember this being an issue for Michael Penix. I know it looked weird because he was a left-handed quarterback, but it also was just bad. He throws like Michael Penix, but even worse, where it's just like it's this sidearm quarter zip type of throw every single time. And that needs to be worked on, because I think that's going to lead to, it hasn't yet, but I think that's going to lead to some serious ball security problems. That also hinders what is his biggest problem, which is his accuracy. Just a lot of passes will sail on him. If it's past like 5 to 10 yards, you can't really completely rely on it, which I know gets really scary when I'm talking about a top 5 quarterback prospect. But I just think that there's so much upside here. Very poised player. He gets hit, he gets back up, he can take care of business. Extremely competitive player, willing to take hits almost too much, but probably possibly the toughest quarterback in this class. We got to work on his discipline and decision making. But he does see the field well. He just doesn't have a good plan in terms of, you know, initial pre-snap and heading into the snap, the first zero point 0.5 seconds of the play, he doesn't really see the field that well, but then he settles in and he can start to see the field and go through progressions. It's kind of a
Interesting.
weird process there,
Yeah.
but he has good feet, great foot quickness. Again, plays low, plays with this low stance, and as bad as his release, form is, he does have, it's really quick. It's very snappy. It's just weird, wildly placed, honestly. Like one of the weirdest releases I think I've ever seen, but he does it quickly, which is good. So that's, it's, it really is a weird concept of a player, but I really love the athleticism. I think that he just came from Washington State where he had no one to help him other than I forget the one kid who just went to the Patriots, the receiver. But other
Kyle
than
Williams.
that, yeah, that's it. That's the name. Other than that, I think that there's a lot to like here. He has a good arm. He's poised in the pocket. He's a good improviser. He's a good scrambler. Um, he just does everything well other than routinely getting to the third read and consistently passing an accurate football. If he can get in an offense, and I think that Oklahoma is going to help him do this. If he can get into a offense, a situation that will make him get to that second and third read more consistently, tells him to stop running after that first read, because that's a big issue. But if he can do that, I think he's going to settle in more. I think he's going to be less erratic, less kind of impatient, and that's just going to reap benefits across the board. So this is kind of a, just a swing for me, and maybe a swing and a miss, but right now it's
Mm.
just a swing for me. It's a risky, player to bet on, but I do see an upside. I do see a world where John Mateer goes out there, has a really good season, and we're talking about him as a first rounder next season. Um, but yeah, I 6'1", 220. He's a Richards senior, 22 years old. I think this year he could go out there, do enough to potentially get into the first round conversation. And if not, this is someone I could see as a backup in the pro level. All right. So you didn't watch him.
Nope. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right. So we're gonna move on to Sam Levitt. Where did you
Mm.
have Sam Levitt on your list?
He was number 4 for me.
Interesting. Okay, so I had him at number 2. I'll let you take the wheel on Sam Levitt while I go take care of something, and then I'll be right back.
Yeah. Man, honestly, he was just really, really smooth from what I saw. That was just like the first and kind of just overarching thing that I kept coming back to was that he was really smooth with everything that he does, especially running the ball. Um, let me think, remember if I'm thinking this right, but I feel like they didn't scheme up. I feel like he's a guy that you can scheme up a lot of runs for, and they didn't scheme up a lot of runs for. And I feel like if there's a team that comes and gets him in the NFL and they scheme to his strengths and things like that, he can be a really, really good quarterback at the professional level. Um, and yeah, I think he just has a really good feel for the game. His ability, his spatial awareness inside and outside of the pocket, were really good. Um, I watched the Texas game and he didn't really throw a whole lot if I remember in that and but he just he managed the game really well, even if he wasn't necessarily throwing the best. And I feel that's something that he can still work on, is kind of just um, being willing to throw a little bit more. I feel like there are times that he wouldn't see what he wanted to see and immediately tuck it and run, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But in some cases, when you try to tuck it and run, the pocket can really collapse on you, and just end up with a loss of yards instead of trying to extend the play, try to find something downfield, and make a play out of that. So I think that's kind of the next step for him to really kind of become more complete. And then also, as well as kind of figuring out, because he doesn't have the greatest arm, is trying to figure out how he can extend plays and get the ball downfield, through that aspect, even if he doesn't have the best arm. So overall, I think he's a really good quarterback. I think his biggest strength is just that feel for the game that he has, and just kind of being really fluid, being able to just kind of find his way out of things, whether that be pressure in the pocket, whether that be getting around people when he's in open space. And I think that whenever he has, what am I trying to say? I think that if he can figure out how to extend plays behind the line of scrimmage and with his arm rather than kind of relying on his legs at sometimes, I think that can make him be a really, really great quarterback in the future.
You know what I see whenever I watch Sam Levitt? I see I see a little bit of JJ McCarthy. And I was a fan of
I
JJ
can see
McCarthy
that.
coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh yeah, and kind of mix that with Bo Nix. Just
Mm,
mix that kind of concept of a player, very similar in terms of athleticism, very similar in terms of how they process. Uh the I also saw like the ego match of like JJ McCarthy, where it's kind of this like confident kid type deal. That's what you
mhm.
get from Sam Levitt. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
before the
for sure.
Texas game, and he was right saying this, but he said that I'm the best quarterback on the field uh, today.
Yeah,
Heading into
very
that
true.
Texas game, that's what he said. He's going to be the best quarterback on the field, if I recall that
Until the
quote. I
end
don't
of
know
it.
exactly, but he was, and maybe not. If you just involve between the 100 yards on the field, sure, but I think the best quarterback on the field was sitting on the sidelines. So there's a little hint on uh, who I have ranked above Levitt, but
Malik
uh,
Murphy.
yep. Well, Malik Murphy was in Duke.
I don't think he was in there that year. I think he was at Duke last year. The
Yeah, he
year
was.
before, he was in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Um, So yeah, a good processor. I really love his pocket presence. He's really confident in the pocket. Has a good arm. Not great, but it's a pretty solid arm. I think that it's
Yeah.
flexible. He has
Yep.
he has good arm strength, not great. Um and That's another area where it's just like I see so much JJ McCarthy there. But improvisational skills, really good. Good scrambler, just a lot of boxes checked for Sam Levitt. I don't have any like gigantic glaring weaknesses for him. And
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I keep going back and forth with this JJ McCarthy comp is it's like that's what I remember seeing with JJ. And they're the same type of player with similar strengths and weaknesses here, a similar mentality for the game. But it's just
Uh-huh.
like you can't really pull something out of his game and be like, you suck at this. Maybe he could be a little
Yeah.
bit more accurate. I mean, at times there's he has a good deep ball, but I think he's just adequate across the board in terms of his, intermediate, short, middle of the field, and sideline accuracy. But
Mhm.
this dude is a competitor, and he will play through the whistle every single play. He's going to go out there and make some special plays for you with his legs and his arm. There are times where he needs to stop, he needs to save himself from himself in the sense of, I think you alluded to it earlier. Sometimes he'll take off and run too early. Sometimes the ball will sail on him and he'll make some dumb decisions. Even though he only threw 6 picks and had a low turnover rate, I did think that there were a number of times where he had these like screw you, I'm going to force this pass type of thing. Um, and and yeah, I think that this is a really talented football player. I had a mid second round or yeah, mid to late second round grade on him, which is very convertible to the first rounds whenever it's all said and done. I think I've alluded to this throughout my summer scouting series so far. I don't watch these guys and I'm like, oh, I'm going to project this guy forward, and this is what his grade is. What I'm assuming his grade is going to be in
Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah.
I watch these guys. And I'm like, today is August 28th. This is what this player looks like to me on August 28th. I'm going to watch more film for these guys down the road. They're going to play more games down the road that are going to be, tape that I can watch unless they get hurt. So,
Yeah.
why am I going to just give these guys the first round grades that I think they'll get and just look dumb
Yeah, they might get
whenever
worse.
someone gets hurt, someone sucks, someone around them gets hurt. What if Jordan Tyson goes on the field and gets hurt for Sam Levitt this year? But what I see right now is a guy that is probably going to eventually be a first rounder if he can go out there and have a similar year that he did last year again this year. So, yeah, big fan of Sam Levitt. All right, moving on to Kate Klubnik. Where did you have Klubnik ranked, Ayush?
I had him at 2.
Really? What
Yeah.
grade was that? The second rounder?
Uh, I don't think it's. I mean, I think in the when I adjusted, it would probably be around the second round.
Okay.
But the way I did it ended up being first. I have like 5 first round quarterbacks. Like Levitt
Oh,
was a
oh
first
gosh.
rounder out of mine. So I don't think
Okay.
it's in terms of scaling. I did it the way you do it. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah,
So, um, oh, I guess I'll let you take this one then. So you have him at 2. Wait, did you
yeah,
take the last one? We probably should have switched them around. I'll so that I
yeah.
could
You
have
take. I
taken
took I
Sam, and
took
then
Levitt
you take
first.
this one. I'll let you take this one still though too, because you're
Sure.
such a significantly bigger fan on him than I am.
Yeah, I just think he looks super accurate. I feel like in like the games that let me see what games I watched for him. I watched the Texas game. This is all this year, this past year. Texas, Georgia, and South Carolina. I watched. And I think he was held back a lot by the scheme. Honestly, I don't think this. There was a lot of short passes. They try to read option him a bunch, which I felt like he's not that much of a read option guy. Like he can scramble and stuff, but I feel like he's better as a thrower. And I feel like they didn't really let him always, or they didn't really play the system to him all the time. I feel like when I was watching it, and like situationally too. I feel like there were times uh, I think it was the Georgia game they were down big or something, and they kept trying to dink and dunk a lot. I might be thinking of it wrong. I didn't note it down, but yeah. But when I was watching him play, I feel like he has a really good feel of the game of just going through his reads and progressions. His accuracy, especially, I think sideline accuracy, I felt like was really really good throwing outside the numbers, as well as throwing in the middle and all three levels of from short to deep. I felt like he was really really good, just overall. Um, I think that was really the biggest thing that really helped bump him up. As an athlete, I think he's good, but as I said before, like I feel like they try to use him a little too much as a runner in the games that I watched. Like I feel like RPOs, I feel like would have worked well for him and things like that, but true read options and things like that are not things I would have used as much as they did with him. Like I was saying, you probably didn't hear because you're away. When I was saying with Levitt, I didn't feel like they used read options enough with Sam Levitt. I feel like he's a
Mhm.
really good scrambler and he runs really well and really fluidly. And I feel like they could have used him more in Arizona State. I feel like it's kind of the reverse with Kate Klubnik at Clemson. Um, but yeah, and I feel like like he throws the ball really well. He has good feel. Let me see. I'm not lying when I say he has good spatial awareness. Uh, I lost it.
I thought he had
He
good
has good.
spatial awareness
Yeah,
myself.
I've had a good for him. Um, but yeah, and then like especially, I feel like the ball really went where he wanted it to go every time that I saw him throw it. It felt like he was able to find um the the windows that he needed to get it to and got it there. The receivers didn't always catch it. I feel like a lot with these top quarterbacks outside of Arch is that they really weren't helped by their wide receivers a lot of the time. I feel like there's a lot of drops and things like that that could have easily been caught, but that's not really their fault, the quarterback's fault. But anyway, um, but yeah, I think he had good leadership. He seems vocal on the field from the few cuts that I saw during the cutups. And yeah, I just think that his arm is just really nice. It's not necessarily the strongest in the class, but it really just it's smooth with him. It goes where he wants it to go. It's a pretty ball, and so I think just overall he has a lot of like the the stereotypical things that you want from an NFL quarterback from an arm standpoint. Um, and I think the thing going into this season to see is that if he can maintain just the kind of mental aspect of it, if he's able to read and see the things and react to it as fast as he did, and go through his progressions as well as he did, and all these kind of things. Because I feel like that's a thing that can kind of slip away just off vibes and off feel, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with him. That's why he was super high, and obviously you have very differing opinions having him at 6.
Yeah. Um, I think it's like I still had a third round grade on him. So I had a pretty large chunk of guys that were just like neck and neck. This was
Makes sense.
the lowest ranked guy for me that had a day 2 grade. Um, but I kind of see what you're saying with the how he was used. I think that some of that was just because of the fact that like with the dink and dunks and a lot more intermediate stuff and then mobility. I think they were trying to scheme Antonio Williams open, honestly, because
Mm,
that's where that type of receiver works. And Antonio Williams
I
is
see.
their best receiver. I think I mean I talked about him yesterday. I think I have him ranked wide receiver 4. And that concept worked well to Antonio Williams, but did that work well to Cade Klubnik? Not always. Um, I think that there's still a little bit of training wheels though with Klubnik, and I think that's why they did that. Is they
Makes
weren't ready
sense.
to just unleash him.
Mm,
And now this year, I gotta imagine that they'll unleash him. And whenever I have him, I have him at 6. Whenever I say that, like again, these are how I'm grading the guys right now. I totally see a path where Klubnik goes out there, has a good year. Again, training wheels off, and goes out there and has a really good season and becomes a first round quarterback. I My comp for him was Baker Mayfield. So
mm,
I think that there was a lot of that in there. You get a combination of pretty good athleticism, not great, but good athleticism, and
I
you get
see
a
that.
combination of that with just accuracy, some discipline issues in terms of where he puts the football and decisions he makes. And but you have the opportunity to go out there, and once he's in the NFL, I could see him becoming a guy that is a consistent top 10 in terms of passing yards on a season basis in the NFL. Um, with some mobility opportunity. Uh, so, yeah, I do think I will say I agree with that there was probably some training wheels with him this year. I think that this year though, I'm not, or last year there was that issue, but this year I'm not as worried about that. I will also say not a big fan of his footwork. I think he had quick feet.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he had
understandable.
misplaced feet at times that
Yeah.
would kind of drive him into some trouble. But extremely one thing I really liked about him as an athlete, I mean, he's good in terms of just linear speed and he has okay functional strength, but
Mhm.
I did like his just body control and fluidity. I thought that he was Really natural in terms of his hips and knees and ankles, just in terms of how he is able to move his body in unison. So yeah, Cade Klubnik, QB6 for me, QB2 for you. Moving on to Nuss.
This is our guy.
Marcus Marauders. I don't know what the rest
We
is,
are the
but
best.
we went to high school with Nuss
Yep.
at Marcus High School back in the day. So naturally, we're big fans. Obviously, you can see by my shirt if you're watching, not listening. But I went to LSU as well, so big Nuss fan here. I'll start this one off. I had Nuss at QB4. I'm gonna imagine that's about where you had him. Is that right, Ayush?
Yeah, and I'm at 3.
Okay, 3. Gotcha. So yeah, I had Nuss at QB4. I think that there were definitely some hiccups in his tape, but then
Mm.
just out of the blue, so he makes us he doesn't feel backside pressure, get sacked, and then the next play he's going out there and throwing one of the most beautiful passes that you have ever seen in your entire life. That's the type of player he is, and that's something I really liked about him is that he screwed up. He was such a competitor to get back up and go make a play. And maybe he's not the most poised in the pocket, but in terms of composure on I'll stand up and get back at it after a stupid play. He had a lot of that. And I really like that. Just a total competitor. And that's kind of where, it really starts for Nuss. Accuracy is one of the best in the class. I have him at 3 in that category. I already mentioned, who did I mention earlier that I had a high grade on that? Mendoza for that category. And then we've still yet to talk about the guy I have ranked number 1 in that category. But Nuss is not much of an athlete. I think that he has mid-body fluidity, which helps him drive the ball. But beyond that, he's not fast. He's not twitchy. He's not very strong. So I don't think he's much of an athlete. He's not going to give you that much in terms of scrambling and mobility. He can be a timely scrambler at times, or a couple times I remember where it would be like, 3rd and short. And it's like, okay, I'll sneak by and get a first down. And that's why for me, he doesn't completely flunk the scrambling grade. He landed a 4.9 out of 7 on that category for me. All my categories are out of 7. So that means he's adequate, good, right in between there in that category. And that's just because of timeliness of it, not because of the athlete of it. You can really tell also that this is a coach's son. There's a lot of those traits in there where just the technique part of it, the feet are really good. I really like his pad level, his follow through with his release. And then I like his release placement. I do think his timing can be a little bit labored in terms of how quick the ball gets out of his hands whenever he's, seeing and triggering, but he does have a well-placed release. It's very smooth, very natural. I think he just needs to have a little bit more urgency in terms of the slingshot release portion of it. His arm strength is worse in the class, at least of the guys I watched. I think it's purely off of his arm talent is purely stabilized by his ability to just throw a clean football in terms of his release. And I mean, he doesn't drive the ball very well. And it's really just a well-placed football in terms of touch. And that's what makes him not flunk the category of arm talent for me. So improvisationally, I do think he can move around actually, which is odd with his minimal athletic ability. I do think that he can get around and start to play some backyard football and get the ball out. This is the comp that everyone wants to give him, but it is 100% valid. This is Tony Romo. I'm so serious that this is going to be Tony Romo. Not just this one's not just stylistically. I'm telling you that he's going to go to the NFL, and if he's put in, dude, I would love him in Pittsburgh. I would love him in New Orleans, and especially if he gets to go play with his dad and who's the OC in New Orleans, Doug Nussmeier. But if he goes to one of those teams, those teams use the in structure type of quarterback. And that's what this guy is. And I think that if he's able to be used in that way, if he's able to be incorporated in an offense that knows how to use his skills, he's going to Tony Romo it up all day long. Size, there are size concerns. I've actually gotten two verified measurements. I don't know which one to believe. I got one that he's 6 foot and 5/8, and I got one that he's 6'1" and 5/8. Uh, I
Interesting.
don't know which one to believe.
It doesn't
I
seem
gave
that
him the
short,
6 foot
honestly.
one. I gave him the 6'1" and 5/8 because
Yeah.
I love Nuss, and that helps his grade because those measurements are meticulously integrated into my grading system, and that bumped his grade up a little bit. But I I don't know. That's interesting to me. 200 pounds, so he's not that big. Again,
Yeah.
there's your Tony Romo. Very tough player, good pocket presence. Doesn't have an insane arm, but he knows how to throw these just wow passes every once in a while. So, do you concur, Ayush?
Yeah, for the most part, I think he hit everything on the tee. I thought honestly he had pretty good drive of the football. I think that's the biggest disagreement I have with you. I thought he had like his it's a slower release than you would just off feeling that I feel like that he has to use to get that zip, but I feel
Yeah,
like he has that zip with the ball. But yeah, outside of that, I think you really hit everything on the nail. I think his touch is absolutely beautiful in terms of getting like sideline off those deep ball. I think um, during the A&M game, there was like one or two to the same receiver that he had that he placed it perfectly, but the receiver mistimed his jump on both of them and he dropped it. And I feel like if he had a better receiver core around him, it would be
yeah.
beautiful
Well, he
things that
will
he would
this
be
year.
doing the entire
He will
season.
this year
Yeah.
too. He's going to
Um,
have arguably the best receiver core, and I mean, be other than Ohio State, but he'll have
uh,
arguably the best receiver core in football this year. He has Nick Anderson, Aaron Anderson, Barian Brown, and sleeper guy here is Mike Hilton, who is a freak athlete. Collectively, those are probably like Aaron Anderson's probably going to be a fourth round guy. Barian Brown's probably a fifth round guy. Nick Anderson, I grade him low right now because there's very little tape to watch, just his 2023 stuff. And then he got hurt. He redshirted his freshman year, so you barely have anything to watch with him. But he could be a high ceiling type of guy too. That could be someone who's a first rounder or someone that's a seventh rounder. And then Mike Hilton's the same way, a lot of range for him, but he's going to have
yeah.
weapons this year, and that's exciting. And he lost some talent on the offensive line, but he also has Caden Durham at running back. He did have some
Mhm.
transfers in it, O line. He's going to have a lot of guys around him. The defense is going to be really good this year. Mansour Delane came in through the transfer portal, a couple of other guys as well. Patrick Payton, I believe. So Harold Perkins will be back from injury. Just so much talent on this team this year that Nuss is going to, you're going to see who Nuss is this year. And he
Yep.
has, if he flunks this test, then he's probably a backup. But if he goes out there and plays similar to how he did this year, he'll be a first rounder. That's kind of the story with him.
Yeah, I agree with. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me as well, along with that, is that similar to Klubnik, I didn't feel like the system helped him a lot. More situationally than in terms of playing to his strengths. But two of the games I watched were versus A&M and then versus Alabama, and in both of those games, the O line struggled to hold up against the front sevens because both of those front sevens are great front sevens. But then at the same time, that's I feel like situationally they did not do a good job of giving him
Mm.
plays that would let him get the ball out quick or get the ball out in like the right area or things like that. I just felt like, and especially in the Alabama game, they were down huge um, early, and I feel like the way that they played it throughout those first half and a little bit after was just not the way that should have been playing against a team that was doing those type of things to him. So um,
Yeah,
hopefully, what's his face? I see the coach's face, but I'm completely blanking on Brian Kelly.
Brian
Um,
Kelly.
yeah, does better in terms of that aspect, and I hope he
Yeah,
does. I'm not a huge Brian Kelly fan
me
personally,
neither.
but hopefully he can do his thing and turn it around like he helped at Notre Dame a few years ago. But yeah,
Yeah.
outside of that, I mean, you basically said everything I was gonna say because um there was one thing that I was gonna the scrambling. I feel like you said that he wasn't a good scrambler or athletically a good scrambler. I completely agree with that. And then timeliness, I feel like he could have been even better with the timeliness. There are times that I felt like he wanted, and this is like the polar opposite of Sam Levitt, where I was saying that there are times he would take off too quick. With Nuss, I feel like there are times that he didn't want to take off and stay in the pocket or around the pocket to try to get a throw off. And there are times where there was an open lane down the field that he could really gotten some good yardage out of. So um, I think that's a trait that he could kind of expand upon is just being more willing to use his legs when he sees that lane open up, which against him, I think will. There's not going to be a lot of teams that are going to have a guy to spy or those type of things against him, obviously. So I think to use that to his advantage, because he's going to be able to get out of the pocket and be able to pick up a good 7 to 15 yards, depending on um, how the things are around him. But yeah, so I think if he can improve on that, I think that can really help to keep drives going, kind of keep defenses guessing in terms of um, their coverages and how they cover him and the wide receivers around him. So, but yeah, I think everything you said, I completely agree with. And I hope he balls out this year.
All right. So let's move on to Aller. We're gonna pick up the pace a little bit. So let's Cliff Notes Drew Aller. I'll let you take this one. I guess really quick. I had Aller at 3. Where did you have Aller?
I had Aller at 5.
Okay,
I
gotcha. Yeah. So explain.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like he nothing really stood out a whole lot to me from him outside of his arm. Um, like he just kind of existed to me. I only watched two games also of him. I didn't get to watch three. Um, but I think he has a great arm, great mobility with his arm, especially. He can kind of get any type of angle on his throws. I feel like he did a really good job of that. Um, he's just like his upper body movement is really nice in terms of throwing the ball. Um, processing wise, I think he was okay. Um, he, yeah, I thought he was just okay overall. He kind of sees things a split second too late. I feel like, or he sees something, but he hesitates for a bit and then throws it. Um, and so that was kind of a dink on his grade for me. I cannot speak, bro. Um, but yeah, I think in terms of the pure arm talent, I think it's really there for him. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but I see a little bit of Zach Wilson in him in terms of that type of thing. It's not as talented of an arm as Zach Wilson had, but I think it's up there for sure. But it's the accuracy on the deeper throws as well that is a concern for him. Um, like he has the ability to get the ball to those deep
Yeah.
throws, but
I saw the
um,
same thing. I think his worst passes in the book were accuracy and sideline passes. He couldn't
yeah,
really
exactly.
function very well,
Yeah, the sideline
which is
especially.
weird. Well, it's not, I guess it's not weird, but what sucks about that is that's where you want his arm to show up
Mhm,
is, is vertically and on the sideline. Like
mhm.
that's where you see Mahomes shine. And Mahomes obviously has an elite arm. It's not fair to compare a college guy to Mahomes. But that's where you see, so many of these. I know Josh Allen had some growing pains with that initially, but
Uh-huh.
there's so many of these guys that have these plus arms that are able to work those areas of the field. For some reason, Patrick Mahomes is the only one that's coming to mind for me. But yeah, so that was interesting. But
Yeah, I'll let you
I
go.
agree
Yeah.
with yeah, I agree. I agree with the majority of what you said. I think that I do also think that he's a great athlete, a good, great-ish athlete,
Hmm.
which some people have not given him his flowers in that area, and that's where it gets to for me, where it's like, I know, I get it, the blueprint of big, great arm, great athlete is not always that favorable for these guys. But I do see a little bit more of a pathway for a guy who has gone out there, made a deep run in the college football playoffs. I know it wasn't that great, especially against Notre Dame. But I see enough here for me to be able to bet on the player and put him out like QB3. I'm someone who's not a big bet on the player guys. There's a lot of bet on the player guys in this class. At quarterback. The only
Yeah,
guy
I
that's
agree.
like, there's probably just the only two guys that there's probably just a clear cut path is Nuss is probably going to be a first or second rounder. Beck is probably going to be a fifth or sixth rounder who's a backup quarterback next year. That's kind of the only two guys with limited volatility. Oh my gosh, I don't care. In this class. So yeah, I do think Drew Aller has enough traits for me to bet on, because I think in between the skeleton of the player, I think that there is decent enough improvisation skills. I think there's decent enough scrambling skills. I think there's a decent enough, in terms of arm talent, not to be confused with arm strength, which is great. Decent enough pocket skills. I just think that there's some accuracy woes. I think there's some IQ woes, and
Hmm.
I think he can grow out of those to some degree and get to the point where we can just see his tools shine enough. All right, so moving on. This is someone who has received such an interesting, you know, what fan base this offseason. And it's also someone that I do not want this, what I'm about to say, get confused with me saying, oh, he sucks. He's never gonna make it in the NFL. What I want to say about Sellers is that he is such a skeleton of the player. And I have had this exact player, come out of college. I've been high on them and I've gotten burned. Obviously Anthony Richardson is the epitome of that, but there's a long list of guys that I have rooted for uh, in this category, that are of this category, and just been burned last year in specific. And I didn't even rewatch the guy. KJ Jefferson out of Arkansas. He moved on to, where did he go? I can't remember. I have him
UCF.
on this somewhere. UCF. He sucked. He got benched. Same type of guy. I was so high on the tools. I didn't see that much difference. I was so high on the tools. And I didn't even rewatch him this summer when he went back to school, because I don't even think he's going to start at UCF this year. He got benched last
Problem
year.
with him is he's ugly.
He's got the frog
Yeah.
look. uh, yeah. Um, I've been burned on that. I've also been burned on. Oh, there was a kid named Jamie Newman, Wake Forest, like 5-6 years ago. I had like a second or third round grade on him heading into the summer. He sucked. I don't even think he made like the
Dang.
practice squad for the Eagles this year, which is the team he was on, I believe, all offseason. Like, I've just been burned on this type of category player. Obviously, again, Anthony Richardson, I had him like 15th on my board, and I was so resistant to it the whole time through. I was like, I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not going to do it. And then last minute, I rewatched him. I was like, screw it. He's got a first round grade. He's going to be 15th on my board. Joe Milton, I was high on him in the offseason. I kind of learned my lesson. I gave him like a 7th round grade whenever it was all said and done. He was a little bit less athletic, but he had the arm. Obviously, he has like the best arm
Mhm.
I think I've ever seen by an NFL quarterback, Patrick Mahomes included, in terms of pure arm strength. But I've just been burned on it, and I can't do it anymore. So I'm going to I set him at a 4th round grade right now. I feel like that's really fair. 7th on my QB rankings. There's
Yeah.
so much to work on. I think he's a really good athlete. I mean, I don't think he's a very good reactive athlete because his processing ability is really not good, which is where all the problems start to flow in. But probably one of the strongest quarterbacks I've ever watched, not in terms of arm strength. He has a great arm, not the Joe Milton, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen arm, but he has it's sort of in terms of chest strength, thigh strength. This is someone that is gonna be like your Jalen Hurts who goes out there and squats 500-600 pounds, and just something ungodly, and you can just do the right up the middle, right behind the quarterback, just the tush push with him. But the processing, it's just so many woes in that category. He sees the field well, but he's bad initially. He doesn't know how to anticipate pressure. He doesn't know how to anticipate whenever a receiver is going to get open. The anticipation throws in general are really disappointing. There's just no anticipation in his game. Uh, he doesn't have a quick trigger whenever he does see someone get open. Not very poised. He plays through the whistle and he's very competitive. That's huge for him in terms of what he is mentally. But beyond that, not much in terms of just the processing skills as a quarterback. There was honestly, a great deep ball. There was good into the intermediate area of the field, sideline. Good throws, good pass there, but adequate otherwise in terms of just his short and middle of the field accuracy. Yeah, that's my assessment of Lenore Sellers. I guess, yeah, give me cliff notes of what you got. I think
Yeah.
so. I had him at QB7, and I think you had him at 6, 7.
At 6. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, give me some cliff notes real quick because we got to wrap up Arch Manning after this and get out of here.
Mhm. But yeah, I completely agree with a lot of what you said. I think he just has kind of like the running back intangibles in terms of when
Yeah,
he's running. He is really smooth as a runner, really smooth and powerful as a runner. And I think that's going to translate really well to the NFL. Honestly, as a thrower, I think I like honestly when I was watching, I really felt the comparison to Anthony Richardson, and but I do think he has a little bit of a higher IQ than Anthony Richardson does. That makes Anthony Richardson sound like stupid, but
I agree with that. I agree with that.
but I do think that Sellers can see the field and read it a little bit better than that. Obviously, like you said, it's still not quite at a high level yet, but I really do feel like Sellers is the guy that can grow in that aspect pretty well, and I think hopefully we'll see that this season. Um, I don't know. I feel like his anticipation was solid. I don't. You're really dinging it. I had pretty good across the board with him. So, um,
Mm.
I especially with his pocket presence, there are times where it was just absolutely awful, but I felt like there are also times where he was able to maneuver pretty well in the pocket. And usually takes off at that point, but I feel like there are a couple times where he was able to maneuver and find a guy open, usually on a short check down type thing.
Mm.
But
Did you watch the
um,
Clemson game by chance?
I did watch the Clemson game.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say that's like it. If you don't watch the Clemson game with Sellers, then you're not gonna like him that much. You need
Yeah,
to watch
he was
That's like the game
the
where he
Clemson
took
game was
over. Yeah,
exactly
he would not
the
have a
game
4th round.
winner.
Let's just say he would not have a 4th round grade for me if it weren't for the
Which
Clemson
was
grade
I
because
was
that's our game.
Clemson, Mizzou, and then A&M. He played well against A&M too. He beat A&M when they were ranked like 9 or
Mm,
something.
yeah,
Um, yeah, Missouri, he was kind of mediocre in that one, I remember. Um,
gotcha.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I watched
that's kind of where
Missouri.
I am.
Yeah, I watched Clemson, Missouri, and LSU for him. All right, so yeah, let's move on to Arch, and then we gotta wrap things up here. So
Yep.
Arch number one for me. Arch number one for you? Question mark.
Yep.
Okay.
He it
Do
was
you do you want to start this one off?
sure.
Okay, go for
I
it.
mean, everything's there for him mechanically, athletically, um, mentally. I think it's all there. Um, I th- I think. he benefited a lot off of, first of all, the guys that he played this past season. I mean, he played all the early season teams that Texas probably paid to come play them. Um, yeah, the team around him was absolutely amazing. You had Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden to throw to, Gunnar Helm as well. You had um, Jaden Blue and what I forgot who they have a good running back room back there as well. O line was great. Kelvin Banks was there on the left side. So over that entire offense, I think was just great. And Sarkeesian did a great job of scheming things up. So I think he really benefited from a great ecosystem around him at Texas. And that's not really knocking him because he was able to really. There are times where he was able to find really tight throws and was able to make them. Um, but I feel like at the same time, that's also kind of a potential negative for him is that he has the confidence to throw these tight window throws. And I feel like that's not always going to be there, especially as a full season starter where he's playing these high level defenses in the SEC. Um, and I feel like that's kind of what I try to scout with all these guys is kind of the higher level games that they played to make it as close to NFL competition as I possibly could find. Um, and I think the best I could find for Arch was like Mississippi State. So um, I think this season will really tell how good of a processor he is because there a lot of the stuff was first read and he's able to make that throw because it was open,
Yeah.
whether it be on a short slant or whether that be a deep ball to Golden or something like that. Like it was always basically there for him to make the right read and he get it there almost every single time. Um, so I think this season will be really telling in terms of his processing, but he can run really well. He's a lot smoother than I thought he would be because I feel like I knew he
He's
was gonna
a
be like pretty
really good
fast.
athlete, man.
Yeah, I
He's
knew he was gonna
really
be
good.
fast. He's stronger as a runner than I thought he would be. Because when you look at him, he kind of feels like he's not that tall, but he kind of feels like he would have kind of the baby giraffe um,
Yeah,
coordination as a runner,
I know.
but he
Yep,
he really doesn't. And so
100%.
I really like that about him. His touch is really nice. There's some bad interception. I think it was really just one bad interception that he had against Colorado State or not Colorado State.
Wasn't
It was
it
probably
UTSA? I think. I think it was
Yeah.
UTSA. He had a stupid
He had
INT.
two picks in that game, and one of them was pretty bad. Um, but I mean, he's gonna come out. He has so much confidence, so much leadership. I feel like already. I think Alex sent in the chat the other day that clip of him saying like, "The target's not on us. We got the red eye on everyone in play,"
Yeah,
or something like that. And that was a bar. So um, I think he has good instincts. Everything about him is just there for him, and it's about is that going to maintain as he faces more adversity this season, or is it going to break down? And I think that's the biggest question for him. But as of now, as of everything I've seen, everything off the board looks really, really good. I don't. There wasn't really a ding that I had other than some decision making in terms of he's that confident in his arm, so he thinks he can make the throw and get it in there, and sometimes it's really not there. So that those are just things that we'll see if he's able to kind of
yeah,
hone in and kind of control at times over the course of the season. But yeah, I think overall, I don't think he's going to go into the draft honestly this year. I think he's going to come back after this season, but either or, I think he has a good chance of being the number one guy in either class that he ends up going to.
yeah. Who did you watch him and be like, oh, like he reminds me of this player? Did you have any particular comparisons come up?
Not really. There's a little bit of Burrow, I feel like, in terms of a thrower at like some
Hmm.
points, but I feel like that might have also just been the mechanics of it at times and not necessarily the style. Um, but outside of that, not really. There wasn't anything that really called to me.
Andrew Luck.
Look,
I am
I could see it.
telling you, I think that there's a chance that so if he takes 1 year um and goes off to the NFL, then he'll still grade out excellently. He's not leaving unless he's going to be the first overall pick, I think. which I think is very much on the cards.
Mhm.
But if he takes 2 years, I think he's going to be an Anthony or Andrew Luck caliber prospect, just point blank period. Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was about to say.
yeah. But oh my gosh, there's so much to like. And there's so many times where
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, this is an excellent trait. And I was going to mark it as excellent. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that. There's not enough reps for me to sit here and be like,
Yeah,
oh, this is
that's exactly what
excellent.
I was thinking too.
So there were so many times where I'm just like, oh, I want to put excellent on this trait so bad. And I just put a great because I'm a great grade because I'm just like, I can't do it. It's just not,
Mhm.
there's not enough of a sample size. It's too small of a sample size to be able to, do that. But there are so many tools here. And I think his arm is fantastic. I think he's a great scrambler and a situational one too. He has the athleticism and the timing for it. He doesn't do it too
Mhm.
early. He doesn't do it too late. I think this is the most accurate passer uh, in the class whenever he's in a rhythm. And I could not believe how technically sound he was with
Yeah.
no snaps. With no snaps of experience at the college football level, he was an incredible technician. I thought the feet were fantastic. I thought the release was just beautiful. Again, the athletic ability was fantastic. I think he has the killer mentality. Also, you said the quote earlier too, but I
Mhm.
think just in general on the field, I think he has a killer mentality, and he just needs to get more reps to be able to just unleash it. And we'll see where this goes. I don't really have much else to add in terms of what you said. We'll see where this goes for him in terms of if he's going to declare or not. But I want to say I've heard so many people leave like they're like I'm not going to put him on my offseason mock draft because I don't want to, I don't think he's going to declare. Of all the names that we're watching for summer scouting, there are so many names that are going to return to school. So I feel like it's just
Mhm.
like he's eligible. You watch the tape. Let's just,
Put him on the thing.
we're not going to discard him from this conversation,
Mhm.
because why? There's so many other names that we could start to discard from these conversations if that's the case. And it's just like, there's no reason for that. I think that, again, I know the biggest kind of dialogue right now regarding who's going to be the best quarterback in this class is typically between Arch and Lenore Sellers. I don't even think that's close. I don't think that's
Yeah.
close. I think that with even less reps than Sellers has, because Sellers obviously isn't that experienced, but with even less reps than Sellers has, Arch has more to build off of. And he has the
Mhm.
size. He's 6'3 3/4", 225 pounds. He has the arm. I think he has probably the best well-rounded in terms of arm talent um, in this class. He has the athleticism. He has the processing upside that we just kind of have to put a ceiling on right now because we haven't seen enough reps to really judge what he is mentally on the field. He has the overall athleticism. I think I mentioned that improvisation. He knows how to operate whenever things break
Mhm.
down. If I recall, there was one play where the play broke down. He had to get out of structure, started rolling out, I think to left. I think it was like a left, sideline tightrope that he threw. I think I want to say against UTSA. Um, and yeah, there's just so much there, man. There's so much here already with limited reps. And yeah, it's this guy is good. I know it's people want to not give him his credit, give him his flowers because of his last name. I don't care. I don't feel like I'm being biased for any reason because of the last name. I just feel like this is a good football player. If his last name was Smith, anything else, whatever. If he wasn't part of the Manning family, I would probably feel very similarly about him. He's a good football player. So
Mhm.
all right, let's wrap this up real quick. I'm gonna list off my top 10. You'll list off your top 10, and then I'll talk about Aiden Childs really quick, which is the one guy who didn't make my top 10. Um, you only watched the 10 guys, right? You didn't? Did you watch anyone
Yeah, I
else?
just watched these
Okay,
10.
gotcha. So I'll give like a super quick Aiden Childs discussion after this. So I had number 10, Nico. I am my lava transferred from Tennessee to UCLA. Oh, I have Georgia on my for Carson Beck there. Carson Beck, out of initially from Georgia, transferred over to Miami. Number 8, Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana, transfer from Cal. Number 7, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina. Number 6, Cade Klubnik, Clemson. Number 5, John Mateer, Washington State, transfer to Oklahoma. Georgia. Number 4, why did I say Georgia? Number 4, Garrett Nussmeyer out of LSU. Number 3, Drew Allar out of Penn State. Number 2, Sam Levitt out of Arizona State. Number 1, Arch Manning out of Texas. And Ayush, what did you have in your top 10?
Yeah, 10, I had Fernando Mendoza. I messed up the schools on these. It's okay. 9, Luke Altmaier. 8,
Oh,
Nika
yeah.
I am Alala. 7, Carson Beck. 6, Lenore Sellers. 5, Drew Allar. 4, Sam Levitt. 3, Garrett Nussmeyer. 2, Cade Klubnik. And 1, Arch Manning.
Awesome. And then, yeah, Aiden Childs, I had him at 11. He's my second lowest graded player all summer long. I'm
Who's
sorry, man.
lowest?
I watched this kid and I was just like, no,
Who's
no,
the
he
lowest?
does not how to see the field, dude. His processing ability is bad, bad, bad. He does not know where he is. He does not know what to do with the football. All due respect, Aiden Childs. I do not mean this disrespectfully, but you got a lot of work to do. So that's my
Who's the lowest on your
Nick Harbor.
grades?
But it's just I talked about him yesterday very briefly, but he's just big and he's fast. I know everyone loves the tools there, but he's too
Nothing
much of a
else.
skeleton of player. He could be good in 2 years. He's not good today.
Mhm.
But yeah, sorry, Aiden Childs. I think you're gonna be selling insurance in a year or two. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. We're gonna get out of here. I've got to get somewhere. Yeah, thanks, Ayush. I think this was great. I think we had a lot of
Yeah,
insight here. Got to talk Micah Parsons. It was a really long episode too, 1 hour and a half. So we got a
really.
lot
Yeah.
of insight in there. But so I'm gonna turn off the screen share. We're gonna get on to the outro and we'll get out of here. Catch you guys later.